Welcome everyone to another video today. So we are playing Depression Quest. Warning, there is going to be self-harm, suicidal topics, and some mental health things that are not suitable for children. And if you are and there's trigger warnings, please proceed at your own caution. I will be reading this for you guys. Depression Quest, an interactive non-fiction about living with depression. Also, by the way, it's your boy Error 404. So guys, let's get this straight. I deal with depression. I need to turn this volume down. Enable full screen. Resume game. Okay. So yes, I deal with depression. It's not new. I've had it for a while. So guys, this is what life is like dealing with someone who has depression. You will understand once you listen to me read this. This emotional character is probably mostly indescribable, except as a sort of double bind in which all of the alternatives we associate with human agency, sitting or standing, doing or resting, speaking or keeping silent, living or dying, are not just unpleasant but literally horrible. David Foster Wallace. Depression Quest is a game that deals with living with depression in a very literal way. This game is not meant to be fun or lighthearted experience. If you are currently suffering from the illness and are easily triggered, please be aware that this game uses stark description of people in very dark places. If you are suicidal, please stop playing this game and visit the suicide prevention hotline and talk to someone. The goal of this game is twofold. Firstly, we want to illustrate as clearly as possible that depression is like, so that it may be better understood by people without depression. Hopefully, this can be something to spread awareness and fight against the social stigma and misunderstanding that depression sufferers face. Secondly, our hope is that in presenting as real a simulation as depression as possible, other sufferers will come to know that they aren't alone, and hopefully derive some measures of comfort from that. It goes without saying that because of the very nature of depression, it is experienced differently by every person who suffers from it. We aren't trying to say that this is the best or most accurate representation, merely that this is an amalgamation. I don't know how to say that word, guys. I don't understand it. I'm special. Of the experiences and developers and several people close to them. Many of the following encounters deal with issues such as therapy, medication, handling of love life, and reaching out to support networks. In reality, less than half of depression sufferers actually seek treatment for reasons such as lack of money, preserved personal feeling, or public stigma. These things are included in order to touch upon as broad a range as possible. Since all these elements can be very important to sufferers of depression, though they will likely not be the experience of the most sufferers. It's important to recognize that not everyone with depression is so lucky. Many people with the illness don't have a lot of luxuries that we have in this game. We've written it in a way that we can focus on specifically on the illness, which becomes more and more difficult to deal with as the person who has it is less and less well off. The game uses audio as part of the play experience. We encourage to play with your sound on. Thank you for playing. Okay guys, we were turning that off for a second. We need to do this. We do want to turn it down though. We don't want sound really, but That's not fair. Well, what we can do is we can press escape again, disable full screen, go here, go to sounds, we'll turn the game sounds down, we'll kind of turn it down a little bit more, perfect, enable full screen, resume game, thank you for playing, begin. Let me yawn quickly. It's early on a Monday morning. You are a mid-20s human being. You have a significant other named Alex, who you are rather fond of, that you have been seeing exclusively for the past few months. The rest of your social circle consists of a variety of friends and acquaintances, some of whom you met at your day job, which is a little boring, but pays the rent. You'd like to be doing more with your life as would your parents, but you're still in the process of figuring out what that means and how to go about it. You're also dealing with motivation issues that sometimes makes dealing with these things difficult. You feel like this is probably your fault, and on bad days can feel very inwardly angry and down on yourself for being lazy. But you're not quite sure how you can break out of it, and how other people deal with these feelings and seem so very functional. You spend a lot of nights fixating on thinking about this, but never seem to do anything about it other than lose sleep. It's an unseasonably warm Wednesday evening. You spent the past several hours at work. The past week or so, you've found your job motivation flagging more so than usual. You've been in a fog, particularly all day today, simply going through the motions without realizing that what you've been doing half the time, and yet time seemed to be moving at half speed. You're so checked out that your boss approaches to tell you that it's dead and you can go home early. It barely registers. As you walk home, the streets hiss from the recent rainfall, and now that your significant other will be in classes until late, another couple hours at least, you briefly consider using the serendipitous solitude to catch up on that project that you've been working on haphazardly for the past few months. Guys, I do not know what this word is right here. Please forgive me, I'm not good at reading. As soon as you think about the work that awaits you at home, you can feel the panic creeping in from the back of your brain, unbidden. All you can think is about how incredibly far behind you are, and the amount of work seems nothing less than insurmountable. I don't know. By the time you arrive home and change out of your uncomfortable work clothes, the stress is weighing down on you like a heavy, wet wool blanket. Your computer seems to be staring you down from your desk. You want to sit down and work by the mere thought of but the mere thought of trying to work sends your stress levels flying. More than anything, you feel suddenly and absolutely exhausted and feel a strong desire to simply hide in bed. Do you reluctantly sit down at your desk and try to make yourself do something? Turn on the TV, telling yourself you need a quick half hour to unwind from work, crawl into bed so you're stressed and overwhelmed, couldn't possibly accomplish anything. Anyways, you are depressed. Interaction is exhausting. Interactions is exhausting, and you are becoming more and more withdrawn. You are not currently seeing a therapist. You are not currently taking medication for depression. Order some food, grab a drink, and hunker down for a night of work. So guys, people not dealing with depression would do this, but these are the options that, I choose these options too. Oh guys, we will play, we'll choose we'll choose answers, we'll be making more videos of this game. Yes, keep rereading it, but we're going to be choosing different answers each time we play it, because I want to see the different outcomes and results. What I would crawl into bed. As much as you like the idea of trying to get work done tonight, the thought of the amount of catching up you have to do instantly freezes you up. The longer you stare at your computer, the higher your stress levels rise, until you're on the verge of a full-blown panic attack. Not even wandering into the living room to try and watch TV relaxes you. As soon as you succumb to the mental and physical exhaustion and crawl into bed, making a point to close your laptop before you turn the light out, you lay in bed for some time feeling disappointed in your own ability to be productive before finally passing out. You awake in the morning from a sleep that was far from restful. In fact, it seems impossible. But it's a thought. It is as though you're more tired than you were when you fell asleep last night. As you pick up your phone to shut your alarm off, you see a handful of texts from Alex that you apparently missed last night. 2 missed calls. Text message: hey, tried calling when I got out of class, but I guess you're sleeping? Text message: anyway, I hope you had a good day at work, and hope you were able to get some stuff done when you got home. I'll talk to you tomorrow. I'm out of class early. Text message: good night, babe. I love you. Next. You are very depressed. You spend a large amount of time sleeping, hating yourself, and having very little energy or motivation. You are not currently seeing a therapist. You are not currently taking medication for depression. It's a mild Friday afternoon. Alex calls you from one of her classes, telling you that there's going to be a really awesome birthday party tonight at her apartment that one of her roommates is throwing. You've hung out with this roommate a few times with Alex. You get along well enough that you aren't particularly close. You don't have work in the morning and nothing else in particular to do tonight. You are feeling kind of run down, but you have been fatigued most of the time lately. You mention that you're feeling ill because you're not sure how else to explain those feelings to someone else, and say that you aren't sure that you can make it tonight. There's a second of silence over the phone, but you can hear the sound of your partner's face fall. She tries to convince you anyways. You haven't seen her this week. She sounds pretty insistent that you come over. She even drops a few suggestively worded hints that you can stay over with them tonight after the party. What do you do? Shake off your funk and go have a good time with your girlfriend? That is something you don't want to do. Agree to go, or say that you are really not feeling well and can't make it. We're going to agree to go. You agree to go even though you're really not feeling social. You know it's important to Alex, and you'd really like to see her. Seeing her does make you feel better sometimes, and you hope that this is the case tonight, even if it does mean dealing with all the usual social anxiety. The time to leave rolls around, and you grab your overnight bag. Alex's apartment is a short walk away, and there are already people hanging out on the porch. You feel your chest tighten as you approach the building and try to steal your nerves. You quickly find your partner chatting away with the birthday girl, and Alex immediately lightens up when she sees you. I'm so happy you came! I wasn't sure if you were going to make it. A young man taps her on the shoulder, and she turns back to you and apologizes and lets you know they have to do something for the party. Alex hands you a beer and plants a kiss on your cheek before going off to deal with whatever came up. Hi. You're interrupting my recording. Do you mind? Can you get off? Cat. Please get your butt out of my face. Okay, fine, you can lay down. Look around and you don't see anyone else you recognize. 1. Enthusiastically socialize. Crossed off. Awkwardly stand in the same spot, unsure what else to do. Put your bag in Alex's room and avoid the crowd in there for a while. Cling to the back wall, sip your beer. and wait for your girlfriend to return. Proceed to drink in earnest, hoping it makes you less uncomfortable. You are very depressed. Okay, same things. We'll do this one. You take your beer and shift through the crowd until you arrive at Alex's room. The room is actually empty of other partygoers, and you sit on her bed and as you set your bag down. Thankful for the personal space and feeling a lot less claustrophobic, you mess around on your phone while you sip your beer. You keep telling yourself you'll go back out in 5 more minutes, but every time the time rolls around to go back out, you feel a panic creep in, and you stay rooted to this spot. You figure no one here knows you anyway, so it's unlikely you'll be missed. A few minutes later, Alex comes into the room. "Oh, there you are. I was wondering where you'd gone off. I figured I might find you here." She sits on the bed next to you, buzzed enough to be slurring slightly. "I'm really glad you turned up tonight. To be honest, I really didn't think you'd show. It's really cool. You did, really." She meant it lovingly, but you're not quite sure how you're feeling about that statement. Next. It's a little afternoon on a muggy Saturday. Your mother has come over for a surprise visit, claiming loudly that she doesn't see you enough, so she decided to invite herself over. As you converse, she walks around your place, and you get the distinct impression that you're being inspected. "What's going on with you lately?" she asks abruptly. Taken back by this left fielder, you tell her you're not sure what she means. She repeats the question, saying that you haven't seemed like yourself lately. She gestures to the dirty dishes piled up in the sink, and then notes the fact that you haven't called or visited in a while. Your reticence only seems to spur her on more. She presses you, asking if you're having problems at work or with Alex, and you're beginning to feel incredibly battered by her sudden well-meaning, by overwhelming inquisitions. I don't know what that is. Under her questions, you become increasingly uncomfortable. You want to be able to explain to her how you've been feeling, but the truth is you're not really sure yourself. Nothing horrific has happened at work or with your significant other or friends or anything like that, but all the same, you can't deny that lately you've been felt drained and as though you're not really here. You wish you could tell your mother these things, but she hasn't been approachable about negative emotions in the past. She's the kind of person who holds the opinion that the solution to any problem is to simply try harder and maintain a positive attitude, a stance that has reared its head in past conversations when you've begun to explore the subject with her. You know she's unlikely to be understanding, and you feel the energy drain out of you when you imagine what would happen if you managed to blurt out everything you're feeling. What do? Let her know that you're feeling down lately, and that you appreciate her concern. Try to be honest with her anyway. Tell her that everything is fine and thank you for asking. Change the subject. Tell her everything is fine. "I'm okay, Mom, really. Thanks for worrying about me." Your mother looks at you from across the room and with furrowed brows, and you wonder if the tone in your voice was the least bit convincing. She slightly opens her mouth as though she was about to say something more, but instead she digs through her purse for her cell phone, having apparently decided against it. "Well, as long as you're okay, honey," her voice trails. As your mother returns to what amount to more or less small talk, you realize that this part of the conversation has happened a lot recently. Someone will express concern for you or ask if you're okay out of seemingly nowhere. You tend to find it that it's simpler to just declare that you're okay than find the right words for complicated and murky feelings. Besides, since none of them are in reaction to a specific event, maybe you really are okay and just complaining about nothing anyway. Sometimes when you insist that you're okay to those who ask, you have to wonder if you're trying to convince them or yourself. It is a lazy Sunday morning. You are idly clicking around online as your phone rings. Sam, a coworker of yours that you're friendly with, asks how you are and makes hurried small talk with you. You typically only ever talk to him on the phone when one of you needs the shift covered, so it's slightly awkward. You're waiting in anticipation for him to ask you to come in on short notice when he veers the conversation in a completely different direction. How do you feel about cats, he asks. Mine had kittens a few weeks ago, and I'm having an awfully hard time finding a home for the last one of the litter. Do you have any pets? You don't have any pets, right? It takes you a moment to process this new information, and you're caught off guard as he begins to earnestly try and sell you on the idea of taking the last kitten off his hands. It's not something you've specifically considered before, and he seems fairly insistent. She's a real sweetheart. She really loves people. She's got all her shots already taken care of, and the vet said she's healthy as a horse. I can bring her over by your place tonight if you're interested. You look around your apartment and try to picture a cat in it as he continues to tell you about how cute she is. You tell him that this is all kind of sudden and that you don't have anything for the kitten set up here. Oh, don't worry about that. I can bring over a litter box, food, and all that since you'd really be helping me out of a fix. It's the least I can do. I just don't want to have to put her in a shelter. You can't help but feel you're being guilt-tripped, but you decide to give it some serious consideration. It does get awfully lonely around your apartment, and it feels less empty. It might feel less empty with a cat around. However, since you've been feeling so down, it might not be a good idea to take on the responsibility of a cat, even if you're fairly low maintenance. What do? Take the cat knowing full well that you're going to take great care of it? Decline, even though you'd totally be capable of taking care of it. You're not much of a cat person. Become a cat owner. You could use the companion. Decline, you're not in a good enough place to be taking on more responsibility right now. Decline, you don't like cats. We're going to become a cat owner. Aw, look at it, it's cute. You accept the offer of the kitten and hang up shortly after making arrangements for when your coworker can drop her off tonight. After hanging up, you worry about if you suddenly taken on a responsibility that you can't handle, and hope you don't make a small animal suffer for it. You're not entirely sure what to expect, and you spend the rest of the afternoon researching cat care online and trying to think of a name. The evening rolls around and you hear a knock at your door, startling you out of reading Wikipedia entirely too hard. You take possession of the small, terrified black and white kitten in a carrier, along with everything you need to start taking care of her. You take her into your bedroom, close the door, and open the door to the carrier excitedly. She cowers in the back of it, and you back off, feeling slightly defeated. You remember what you searched about introducing a kitten to a new home and leave her alone to go mess around on your computer, hopefully checking over your shoulder every so often to see if she's come out yet. She hides in her carrier, periodically making sorrowful cat howls long enough for you to start worrying that she already doesn't like you. But by the time you go to bed, she's curled up at the foot of it, eyeing you nervously before falling asleep. Over the next few days, you gain her trust, and she begins affectionately following you around, sleeping on you and hopping on you anytime you sit down to do some work. Next, you are very depressed. Yep, same thing. It's late Friday afternoon, and quitting time is just around the corner. A bright, clear day is giving way to a still, temperate evening. You can hear your coworkers all around you anxiously making plans for their evenings and weekends, but you're really looking forward to just going home and resting after what's turned out to be a very long and taxing work week. Just before the end of your shift, you get a call from Alex. It seems a group of your mutual friends are heading out to a nearby pub for dinner and drinks to celebrate the end of the week, and they want to know if you'd like to come. You tentatively tell her that you're emotionally exhausted from the work week, and a social outing like that would just take too much out of you today. You encourage her to go and have a good time, since you know it's been a while since she's gone out with friends. But the effort feels futile, since you know that she isn't going to go without you. A couple hours later, the two of you finally find yourselves in a familiar position on the couch watching comedy shows on Netflix, a box of pizza open on the coffee table in front of you. As you look across the couch at her, you start to feel anxious. You feel bad about effectively forcing the two of you to stay in tonight again. While you are always appreciative of your partner's efforts to take your feelings into account and help make sure you're socially comfortable, you sincerely worry that you're holding her back from enjoying a more fulfilling relationship. While she does seem to enjoy spending time with you, as the two of you sit in comfortable, almost contented silence, watching old shows you've each seen 2 or 3 times before, your ever-increasing fear that your relationship is becoming one-sided weighs more and more heavily on you. You feel more than ever like a burden or a ward to her, and it's virtually impossible for you to see what value you could possibly offer to her in return. Worst of all, this nagging fear has made you feel more self-conscious than ever, withdrawing ever inwards, and you've started to pull away even from Alex herself. What do you do? Ask Alex if she's happy with your relationship. We'll do that. That's old. This is an old photo of Netflix. You look over at Alex, who hasn't noticed you watching her yet, and you try to phrase the expression on her face. You worry that it's one of sheer boredom and bare tolerance. Where did it go? Tolerance. You wonder if she's thinking about all the fun things she could have been doing tonight if she wasn't trapped on this couch with you, ordering from one of the same 3 takeout places that you always order from. A sense of disappointing her creeps over you. A sense of disappointing her creeps over you as you picture what the night could have been if you had just accepted the invitation she had made earlier. I know this is a pretty boring Friday night for you. Are you really happy being with me? Being like this? She turns to look at you, forehead wrinkle. Why do you ask me that so often? You feel her body stiffen and pull away from yours just a little. Well, I mean, you start, but unable to try and think of how to answer. I know it's not what you'd usually be up to. I don't know, I just guess I get worried that you're getting bored sometimes. Never mind. Well, this is what I do. Never mind. This is far from the first time you've had this conversation with her, and it's one that plays out the same every time. You explain your fears of being worthless. She tries to tell you that she doesn't see you that way. You insist that she is biased or just being nice to you because she's your girlfriend, and she gets frustrated. It never resolves. Nothing new is ever said, and rarely do you feel reassured by it. Forget about it, you mumble. You don't have the energy for the particular argument tonight. She seems to feel similarly as she runs her fingers through her hair and settles in next to you. The weight of the unspoken, unresolved issue in your relationship joins you in the room for a little while, but you dare not pick at it for the rest of the night. You're deeply depressed. Even activities you used to enjoy hold little or no interest for you, and you exist in a near constant state of lethargy. I don't know what the word is. I don't know how to pronounce it. It is a breezy Sunday afternoon. You've allowed Amanda, an old friend from school that is in town for the weekend, to talk you into leaving the house for a coffee and catch up. You meet her in a small cafe and talk about what you've been up to since you've last seen each other. You can't help but feel like they are a lot more accomplished and interesting than you are while listening to them talk about their life after school. When it's your turn to brief them on your activities, you feel anxious, ashamed, and give a little abbreviated version. You try to talk about your job as little as possible. You feel incredibly boring while you describe it, despite her expressing sincere interest in you and your life. Amanda has known you long enough to read your mood and tone of voice. She leans into ask a question while gently stroking your hand, like a genuine concern on her face. What's wrong? Defensively ask her what she meant by that, insist that nothing is wrong, and change the subject. Notice that your hand is shaking. It's such a small question, but it feels like a blow to the gut. You surprise yourself by that. You realize that your tightly clenched fists are now beginning to shake slightly. Despite your best efforts, you feel tears begin to sting at your eyes. You try to disguise this by tilting your head up and praying that they'll suck back in. She suggests that you two get out of here, and you feel mortified. That the two of you get out of here, and you feel mortified. She offers to go back to your apartment with you, but the two of you end up talking in her car for 2 hours as the words that just pour forth from you. Amanda seems unsure what to say at some times, but she listens and rubs your back as you sob and talk. She asks if you've gone to a doctor about this, and you admit you haven't. She mentions that her mother is seeing a good therapist in town and offers to ask her about it. You are not thrilled about the idea of going to a therapist, and even less thrilled about Amanda might be telling someone about your problems. But she persists and tells you she'll email you the doctor's contact information in a later week. It's a glaringly sunny Monday, and one of the few days that your brother Malcolm is in town and free long enough for you to actually see each other. You have a dental appointment that day, but you can make plans for him to pick you up afterwards. Your appointment takes a little longer than expected because your dentist tells you that you've started grinding your teeth in your sleep to a worrying degree. Given how nearly everything in your life has been feeling enormous and stressful lately, this does not come as a surprise to you. He suggests that you try to reduce your stress levels and fits you for a night guard. It feels awkward and too big for your mouth, and you feel embarrassed looking at your puffed face in the mirror with it in. You finish up the appointment in a hurry and leave about half an hour overdue for meeting your always punctual brother in the parking lot. You finished up as quickly as possible and leave the building and scan the parking lot for your brother's car, but you don't see his old Civic anywhere. You pass by a blue Camaro and jump as it beeps at you, causing you to jump in surprise. It takes you a moment to realize, but it's Malcolm in the driver's seat. You hop in the passenger seat and compliment him on his new ride, and he mentions that it's a perk of promotion he's recently obtained at work. He starts telling you about how much more money he's making, how his career is really taking off, and how he's starting to look at houses with his wife soon. You clutch the bag containing the night guard in your hand and feel yourself clench your teeth as you think of your crummy apartment and how long it's been since you've been able to take a day off work without having to worry about making ends meet. He's only 2 years older than you, but it feels like he's eons ahead of you every other aspect of your lives. So he asks, how did your appointment go? Did you get drilled full of holes or what? A sense of shame creeps across your face. Lie, tell him it was a routine cleaning, or tell him about your tooth grinding problem but not the stress causing it. The dentist said I'm apparently grinding my teeth too much in my sleep. Oh? Malcolm replies. Being stressed out lately, kiddo? Deciding that you don't really want to go into it, you tell him that you don't think that's the case and it's probably just a random thing. He doesn't pry further, and instead begins reminiscing with you about the time you chipped a baby tooth because he accidentally knocked you over once. You go out for dinner and catch up on things, but you still feel somewhat distracted by the gnawing anxiety in the back of your mind. Though you enjoy your brother's company, you still feel like you want nothing more than to go home and hide from the world tonight. It becomes hard for you to try to stuff all of your horrible feelings down and go emotionless when someone like the dentist can see a fraction of what goes on inside your head. It leaves you feeling embarrassed and weak, and you hate yourself for feeling that way. You wonder if you're really fooling anyone into thinking you're a normal person, and then you wonder if your brother knows and is hanging out with you out of pity tonight. After he drops you back off at your apartment, you throw the night guard out. You can't stand to even look at that thing. Same. Next. It's a dry Sunday morning. You grab your morning coffee and scoot your rapidly growing kitten off your office chair, and despite her protest, sit down at your desk to check your email. A new message pops up in your inbox almost as soon as you do. It's from Amanda, and you remember your meeting at the cafe and awkwardly bringing up your feelings to her. Subject: Hey buddy, body. Hey, sorry it's been a few weeks. I meant to get this to you sooner, but it took a while for me to get a hold of my folks back home. Dad told me to say hi, by the way. Anyway, I remember what we talked about last time I saw you, and I hope you aren't insulted, but I think I asked my mom for the number for her therapist. Don't worry, I didn't tell her who it was for. I think she's just worried about me now, though. Haha. Anyway, the number is 647-723-5274. It is a really good office. You should look into it. Talking to someone never hurts. If you're worried about money, don't be. They're one of the few that has a really good sliding scale fee system and won't charge you what you can't afford. I hope you're feeling better. It was really nice seeing you again. A. It's still early enough that you could call and make an appointment today. Your kitten curls up on your lap as you consider what to do. Call the therapist number you're looking for to help you think they can offer. We're gonna not read these anymore. We won't read the red ones, because if you want to pause and read, you may, but I'm not gonna read these because there's no need to, because they're crossed off. Sleep on it and see how you're feeling in the morning. You're not keen on the idea at all, but you don't want to disappoint Amanda. That one. I'm sorry I did not read the other one. I completely forgot. Oh, my ankles. The thought of picking up the phone and calling someone about this right now is overwhelming. Sure, you're having a hard time lately and have motivation issues, but are you really in need of therapy? Shouldn't you be able to just get over it yourself? What if they put you on medication that makes you feel like a zombie? What if you go and the therapist looks down on you What will Alex think of this? Trying to think about all these things at once make it feel like a very big deal. Where is it? Okay, whatever. Big deal, and you decide to take your time to think on it. The rest of the day passes quickly, and that night you have a hard time trying to sleep because your brain is too busy thinking about all of these things and imagining all of the ways it could go horribly wrong. The next morning, you check your email again with blurry eye sand, mewing kitten, with a blurry eye sand mewing. I don't understand the sentence. Blurry eyes and oh, they have a grammatical error. And I forgot they have grammatical errors. Eyes and a meowing kitten. Amanda's email is still there, seemingly waiting for you. You are no more decided than you were yesterday. What now? Call after wrestling with it for a few minutes longer. Don't call. This is way too much you can be able to handle right now. We'll call. 1 second. Shift tab. Bro, I want to go back. Well, I guess we're not calling. The sight of Amanda's email address. One second. Oh, it's backspace. There we go. What now? We're gonna call. There we go. You read through Amanda's email 2 or 3 times, then sit and stare at your computer for a while the memory of what uncomfortable conversation makes you feel newly embarrassed and self-conscious. Part of you is also encouraged by the fact that she cared enough to get back to you at all. Sitting in front of your computer, you start to question things like whether or not Amanda sent you this number out of pity, or perhaps some sense of obligation after having listened to you. You question her motives, and the validity of her concern, and whether or not you think seeing a therapist would even be helpful. Yet, almost unconsciously, you reach for your phone. Before you realize what's happening, you're listening to the therapist's line ring. Before you can bring yourself to hang up, you're listening to the slightly clinical but not unpleasant voice of the recipient ask how she can help you. I'd like to make an appointment with the doctor you managed to stammer out. The conversation is quick and not nearly as unpleasant as you were fearing. And quickly then you can say, Fernanda Slip, you've scheduled an appointment. Freudian slip. I don't know what that is. I am butchering it probably. You've scheduled for you. Freudian slip. 1 second. We're gonna quickly go to Google. EUDAIN slip.
Freudian slip.
Freudian slip. Okay, I butchered that so bad. Quicker than you realize, appointment day rolls around. What do? Head to the therapist's office, even though you're totally unsure what to expect. Sit in your car, terrified, and try and talk yourself out of going. Just the thought of going to your appointment ties your stomach in knots. You crawl back into bed. Head to the therapist. therapist's office. You have your first session with your new therapist, Dr. Susan Melville, a tall woman in her mid-40s with a disarming demeanor and patient eyes with the start of the slightest smile lines. She makes you feel comfortable fairly easily, which is a pleasant surprise after all of your anxiety over the appointment. As you leave, you make a second appointment. You're still skeptical about all of this, but you figure you might as well see where this goes. The hardest part, it seems, was taking the first step. You're still not sure if and how you're going to tell your family or your partner, but you figure you'll deal with that when the time comes. Either way, you feel relieved that you managed to see this through instead of being paralyzed with worry over it. Even if nothing comes out of it, you did something you said you would instead of flaking out or running away. You're emotionally exhausted when you get home and collapse into bed. You sleep better that night than you have in a week, and you're not sure if it's because you were so tired when you got home or if it's because of the therapist. You were very depressed. You spent a large amount of time sleeping, hating yourself, and having very little energy or motivation. You spent some time on a therapist's couch. You're having difficulty finding the motivation to You spent some time on a therapist's couch. You're having difficulty finding the motivation to continue going to your sessions. You are not currently taking medication for depression. Next. It is an voice not voicing, English not Englishing. God dang. It is early on a Wednesday morning. Lately, you've developed a nasty habit of waking up 10-20 minutes before your alarm rings, and unfortunately, today is no exception. You lay in bed each minute, ticking closer and closer to wake-up time, and passing on a swelling wave of fear, encroaching dread. You sooner than you would like, your alarm blares the caustic inevitability. I said that wrong. But guys, that is A-okay. You frantically pound the snooze button and retreat under your blankets, as if the warmth from your comforter can shield you from the passage of time. You almost always have difficulty rising from bed, but today, that simple task seems nothing short of guys, back to Google. Hercule. Herculean. They showed of Herculean. After several snooze cycles, you decide that you just can't deal with work today. You're incapable of even rousing yourself from bed, let alone going into work and having to force yourself through a work day. Not to mention, you've snoozed so many times that it would be impossible to make it on time. Now anyways, what do? Head into work. At least you can leave early if it gets too unbearable. Call your boss and tell you're sick and won't be in today. I will do this one. In spite of the fact that you know that it's your job and you should go, you keep fighting yourself every step of the way. Every time you resolve to climb out of bed and just go, your body seems to get heavier and your head gets foggier and you find yourself unable to actually make yourself move. You grab your phone and dial your boss's number, hoping that it's early enough yet that he won't be there and you can just leave a message. Unfortunately, a couple of rings, voicemail picks up, and you leave a message explaining that you're sick and won't be in today. As you hang up the phone, you worry that perhaps your message sounded like a lame excuse. You hope your boss won't call or email you to follow up with your message, but for now you're too foggy to do much of any sort of thinking and eventually fall back into a sleep that is both heavy and restless. With your kitten curled up at your feet, you and occasionally repositioning as you toss and turn. When you wake up the next morning, short of feeling well rested, you actually feel more stressed out. Well, it was definitely nice to get a break from work. You're now faced with a new problem you hadn't considered before. You still have to go to work today. While you're not having the same problems physically getting out of bed you were having yesterday, the protest of having to face your boss after missing a day of work does not seem appealing in the slightest. You worry that your absence won't be seen as believable or legitimate, that your coworkers and boss will think you were just trying to half-assedly play hooky, or worse, you fear that someone will actually ask you what's wrong, being caught that is having to either make up a half-baked excuse, or worse, that they'll see right through you and know. Quickly has your mood matching the drizzly weather outside. You know that you have to go into work, but you fear of being perceived as either lazy or defective. It makes you regret yesterday's decision on taking the day off, and ultimately you feel worse for it. So guys, we are going to pause here. We're gonna quit playing now. We'll play later. Thank you for watching.